Hi. So if you've seen the title of the video, the first word in the title is written theory. This means that this is a part of a series which will actually explain what we've discussed in class or through videos. Conceptual videos are something extra which might strengthen your concepts, and those are for them who want to actually increase their knowledge in international economics through basic terms and jargons and all of that. However, and it also covers conceptual videos, also cover why we should study and all these thoughts revolving around international economics. This video, however, this is a subjective video, a theory video, and it will cover the scope and importance, the points which ma'am has given, but in greater detail. So, ma'am has given a set of 8 points, if I'm not wrong, 7 or 8 points, and she explains each point in brief. My objective is to explain each point in great detail by taking the points that ma'am has said and then expanding them by doing an extra bit of effort in terms of research. So the first point in ma'am's video is that international economics is a pure theory of trade. So in this first point, pure theory of trade, there are 5 subpoints. These 5 subpoints are as follows. You can see on the screen. I'll give you 2 seconds to go through them. And now I'll start explaining each one of them in some detail. So the first subpoint is analyzes the gain from trade. What does this mean? Analyzes the gain from trade. So this is one of the most important features of international economics. International economics there have been a number of theories trying to explain what are the gains from trade, and then after explaining what are the gains from trade, they try to measure the level of these gains. So there have been theories from Adam Smith, Ricardo Malthus, J.S. Mill, Taussig, and now the modern approach towards international economics. However, we are not going to cover all of these in detail. We might cover, if I'm not wrong, our portion covers Adam Smith, Ricardo's, and then we have the other some really weird names and their theories. So let's skip to the modern approach because that's the most recent. Modern approach talks about gains from 2 types of trade: gains from exchange and gains from specialization. Now, I would spend a lot of time explaining all these in detail, but the fact is that it might not be a part of our portion, so I'll refrain from spending a lot of time right now explaining all of these. But as in the future, if these are a part of our portion, as we study the subject, if we come to know that they are a part of our portion, I'll definitely cover them. Then there is the potential and actual trade. This is also going to be covered in the future videos, and then static gains and dynamic gains. So whatever these gains are written, right, all of this has been explained by various theorists, and every theory has its own set of limitations which are tried to be reduced or removed by next theories. We'll be covering these theories in great detail, so don't worry. However, analyzing the gains from trade basically means using these theories and using these approaches towards calculating and towards quantifying the actual effect of trade. So that's why international economics is very important, because it helps in analyzing the gains from trade. Disclaimer: this trade means international trade everywhere, because we are studying international economics. The second point reiterates the benefits of free trade. So this concept of free trade, right, is of great importance in recent times. So basically, free trade, as it shows on the screen, refers to no import or export barrier between 2 countries or 2 groups of countries. 2 groups of countries has to be written because, let's say, there's the European Union, which is kind of a group. So if they are dealing with another group of countries, or a country, then it might be a group of country against a single country. However, so free trade, this is very important. So why free trade is important? Because let's say we are in India, right? So India is trading with USA. Now free trade is a sign of trust of sorts, a sign of long term relations, and it's obviously going to impact the cost of goods within India, as well as goods which are exported from India to the United States to a great extent. So what does this no import or export barrier mean? So there are two type of barriers: tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers. Tariff barriers, as the name suggests, refers to the tariffs or the import tax that is levied on certain goods. So one of these tariff barriers could be in that in 2019 there was a list of 28 goods which was released by the government of India, saying that okay, these 28 goods will have heavy import taxes levied on them. The reason might be due to shortage in local supply, because of which, sorry, excess in local supply, because of which if import was being done, then local supply would not be sufficient to meet the demand. The second would be in order to protect the country's policies. Let's say actually the list was of 29 goods. However, one of those goods, it was a shrimp of some sorts, a species of some shrimp, and that was removed. An example of this import tax was on walnut. Walnut from USA has an import duty. I don't know if this has been changed recently, but I'm pretty sure it is quite constant. Is 120%. So you're literally paying more than double the amount of what it is, what the actual value is in USA. So this kind of demotivates Indian people and the Indian citizens to import walnut or import walnut from countries which have higher taxes. Similarly, there are non-tariff barriers as well. There is quotas, embargoes, sanctions, levies. Quotas, basically, as the name suggests again, quotas are an upper limit or a maximum limit of the number of goods or services, for that matter, that can be imported. These quotas are very restrictive, because let's say you are a simple dealer wherein you just import goods from one country and sell those goods in local market. If you're this type of a trader, then what will happen is that if there is an increase in demand in the local market, more people want more goods, you won't be able to meet that demand with a sufficient supply, because there are quotas already. There's a restriction. You can only have that set amount of goods. If your local demand is asking for 1 lakh goods, but you have a trade restriction of 50,000 goods, then you won't be able to provide them with the remaining 50,000, and that would be a loss for you. But as a whole, it might motivate the country or motivate the group of people to actually increase local production and increase or perhaps introduce this new product into the local market. That's why quotas are a sort of non-tariff barrier, because they don't increase the tax. However, because of that limit, you won't. Embargo is a special restriction on trades from certain countries or a certain set of goods. An example of this would be that importing coal from Somalia is not allowed, even if the coal is, let's say, from another country in let's say Europe, let's say England is sending us coal. This is not the most optimum of examples, but let's say England is sending us coal. We are importing it from England, and it takes a stop at Somalia, at the port of Somalia, or it's just for refueling, or perhaps just a rest stop. then such coal will not be allowed in India without certain documentation from the country, from the government of Somalia, saying that okay, this has just been rested here and this hasn't been sourced from Somalia. Why is this? Because Somalia's coal, it has been, I think UN has, World Trade Organization has declared that the coal that is exported from Somalia, the funds from them are funded towards terrorism, local terrorist groups in Somalia. Sanctions and levies, quite frankly, these are pretty direct in terms of explanation. So you can Google these definitions. They are pretty direct. You can also comment in the section if you don't understand what sanctions or levies are after Googling them. I haven't written the actual explanation here because if you'll see, there's a bit of a space issue. Yeah. The next point that ma'am says is explains the measurement of from trade. So as I discussed in point 1, these theories explain whether gains from trade are there or not and what kind of gains are there. Now, measuring these gains, okay, how much is the quantity of the gain and what is the number that you can attach to these said gains, are what, these theories further explain these values. So this is important because this influences the next point, which is government future policies. So the government of India, and any government for that matter, uses international economics on a large scale. RBI governors, the Ministry of Finance, and other government bodies which are kind of dealing in export-import management have tremendous value of these international economics theories, because they help us not only understand the actual value, that is actual measurement of trade, but they also help us know where we are lacking and where we can improve. Let's say we know this if you have been following recent news, we've come to know that our 90 or 80% of the Indian toy market, toys for that matter, toys for small children, is dominated by China, and these products are harmful for the local Indian children, Indian, and for that matter for all children. Basically what happens is the companies use plastic which is hazardous when put into the mouth, and small children don't understand really the concept of what's hazardous and what's not hazardous, right? So if the government, how does the government come to know that we have such a huge import from China? Through international economics. So all these theories help us understand, okay, where we are exporting the most amount of goods and where we are importing the most amount of goods. And by reducing imports and increasing exports, this is a basic profit ka formula. If you are reducing cost and increasing profits, increasing revenue and decreasing cost, you will get higher profits. Similarly, if you are increasing exports, which means you're getting more money from abroad, and you're decreasing imports, which is you're sending less money from to abroad, it basically helps the government increase the balance, foreign exchange balance of India, and this is used on a large scale. International economics also helps take subjective decisions such as morally correct decisions. For example, as the example of Somalia, the coal is used to fund terrorist organizations. So when the government comes to know about this, right, it will immediately put a restriction on coal import from Somalia. There might be other examples for this as well, which might not come to light, but the government might be doing it at the back end as well. Many such examples. So all these trade treaties, trade policies, all of this are influenced by international economics. Finally, the last point that ma'am said was decision makers make objective decisions. It helps decision makers make objective decisions. So what does objective decisions mean? Objective decisions means a country making a list of a set of objectives which it needs to achieve. Perhaps it might be a part of some trade deal, part of some organization, a summit where you commit to do certain acts. Perhaps a summit where you say that okay, we will not import fuel from a certain set of countries because it might promote terrorism, or we'll take a step towards renewable energy, and all these promises that are given by the government, these can be achieved. These are objective functions that need to be achieved, and the respective decision makers in these various fields use international economics to understand what is the situation of India's economy right now, what is the import and what is the level of export that we do, and whether it is sustainable to completely stop the import, or should we add some limiting restrictions in terms of tariff barriers, non-tariff barriers, to slowly push the country out of India, to slowly decrease the imports, or how will we achieve higher exports? Should we reduce the taxes that we levy on other countries on exports, or should we increase the quotas for export, and all these various factors which can be used in order to make decisions. All these are fueled by international economics. So this was point 1 of 7 points which explain in great depth the importance of international economics. Thank you for tuning in.